Hi everybody! Thank you for clicking on my video. I'm really excited about this video because I've been through a lot of trials and tribulations, I tell you what. Mistakes were made. A lot of mistakes were made, but that's okay. We persevere, we do the best that we can. The dessert I'm making for this video is strawberry rhubarb pie. I've never had rhubarb before, so this was basically new territory for me. Back home, we have 2 rhubarb plants that were just growing and super beautiful and ready to harvest. So I thought to myself, what better video to make than a strawberry rhubarb pie? I could utilize the rhubarb that I grew in my garden and also support a local farm by purchasing strawberries. And this is perfect because it's peak strawberry season right now. So enough yapping and let's get to baking! All right. So the book that I'm gonna be taking that strawberry rhubarb recipe pie from is the Complete Book of Pastries, Sweet and Savory. So I went ahead and made the pie crust earlier this morning because we needed that to chill for a couple of hours before we start busting it up that crust. We're gonna pour in 1 cup of flour and sift away. Also add in our ½ teaspoon of salt. Make sure we grab our paddle attachment since we're gonna be working with dough. We're gonna try and mix that flour salt mixture at a low speed as we drop our shortenings. We're gonna add in our 6 tablespoons of shortening, 1 scoop at a time. And as we're mixing, we're also going to scrape the sides of our bowls. We're gonna add our 1 teaspoon of sugar and 1 teaspoon of vinegar, 2 tablespoons of a beaten egg. And while that's mixing, we'll keep adding 1 tablespoon of our 1/4 cup of ice water. Once everything is mixed together, we want it to form into a ball so we can get that all wrapped up in plastic wrap, nice and tight so it doesn't dry out. And we're gonna save it in our fridge for 4 hours before we start to bake. And we got Paprika here. She's gonna give us a little 1, 2, and we're all set and ready to go. So let's roll out, boys. During my practice run, my first mistake was not greasing our pie pan. Let's get those edges, because I think that's the problem, is once it's in there, it just won't come out. Similar to how I prep my cake pans, I'm gonna go ahead and sprinkle some flour in the pan as well. And it's okay if you make a mess because we're also gonna be using our countertop to roll out our dough. There we go. Nice and dusted. Okay, and then we're gonna just lightly dust our counter because we don't want our pie crust to be sticky. I'm very excited for my pie crust because I cheat sometimes when it comes to the pie crust because it's been pretty difficult for me to actually do. It always ends up breaking or it always ends up being a really sticky mess. This time I feel like I got it. I got it. Let's take this bad boy out. So mistake number 2 that I did with my practice pie was I only made 1 serving of dough, and that kind of just gave me the shell and none for the lattice and decoration parts. So I ended up having a Nikki pie. This time I doubled it. So we're gonna go and roll this bad boy out and hope it doesn't stick on us. Maybe I should half a. Let's pick up this dough roll it with our rolling pan and drop it into our dish. My pie dough was misbehaving, so we're gonna do another trick. Okay. It wasn't perfect. I still need a little practice, but I could patch this together. I know I can. And after some patchment work, this is the bottom of our shell. So that extra dough, we're gonna wrap it so it doesn't dry up. Let's put it to the side because we're gonna be using that for the decoration. I'm gonna poke some holes at the bottom of our pie pan to kind of help with ventilation. It's a funny word, ventilation. Let's work on our filling. Like always, I made sure to pre-prep everything, and that includes washing and cutting our rhubarb and strawberries. Check it out. So this is 2 cups of rhubarb and 1 cup of strawberries. So we're gonna combine our rhubarb and our strawberries. Also gonna pour in our sugar and dust that all over. We're gonna pour in our orange juice, add some citrus to this fruit. Feels like I'm making like a fruit salad. Yummy. Yummy, yummy. My third mistake with my practice pie is that the recipe that I was following was meant for 2 individual pies. That's why it turned into the mess that it did. Mistake number 4, I cooked the tapioca and turned it into pudding. I was supposed to use the tapioca powder to help bind the strawberry rhubarb filling so it could stick together instead of it being soup. We're gonna go ahead and pour our tapioca powder and not pudding. Zhuzh that up. Mixy, mixy, mixy. Mixy, mixy. Our salt. This is just for a precaution, so you don't have to really follow this part if you don't want to. I'm just a little bit nervous about making soup again. So I went ahead and measured 1 tablespoon of gelatin powder mix. I'm gonna sprinkle over my filling. I just wanna make sure that we stick together this time. Let's zest up our orange and just sprinkle that all over our filling. And we're gonna let this rest for 20 minutes before we fill our pie dish.
A few moments later.
Okay, after 20 minutes, we're gonna go ahead and pour our mixture of fruit into our pie. Mistake number 5 was that I added all that liquid into our pie. Let's not do that. That's what makes soup. And that's why it just was not congealing like I was wanting, but we fixed it this time. Hey, there we go. Take a peek at this. So let's go get that extra dough that we had chilling in the fridge and roll it out so we can try and cut thin lines just to kind of add a little decoration on top of the pie. Well, the lattice part of our pie, the dough just didn't want a dough. So we're gonna course correct to an idea of maybe trying to do like a crumble on top of the pie. So we're gonna do 1 cup of brown sugar, 1 cup of flour, and 1/4 cup of cold butter. Cut that butter up and just swish, 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 and make ourselves a crumble. Okay, so after cutting up that butter to little crumbly pieces. We're gonna sprinkle on top of our pie so we can get a nice little crust. There we have it. So let's go ahead and throw this pie into our oven on the lowest rack at 425 degrees.
One eternity later.
All right, it's been 20 minutes. We're gonna change the temperature to 375 and bake that for 35 to 40 minutes. Let's take a peek and see what it's looking like though. I'm very excited. Come on. It looks like breaded chicken. Okay, it's been about 35 minutes. Let's take a peek at that pie. Wow! Look at that crust. This is looking so much more better than the last pie that I did, so I'm excited. So here's the pie. It's still pretty hot, so we're gonna have to wait a little bit for it to cool down, but this is an improvement. Practice makes perfect, folks. I was very nervous about redoing this pie again. It smells delicious already. And I love the little bits and pieces of melted strawberry, the gooiness. Oh my goodness. Last time it looks like green beans were just thrown in there. Oh my gosh. I don't know if you can see, but for my first time trying to do this, it looks pretty nice. So with my practice pie, it was very sour, super wet, not gooey, and it was like eating roasted vegetables. But this second time around, this is how it's supposed to be. I've literally been picking this apart this whole entire time. I'm very happy. I definitely should have let this settle a little bit more. I was being greedy, and I was also just wanting to know what it tastes like, because after my first adventure, this is basically night and day. I should have added maybe the whole tablespoon of the gelatin pack that I had instead of sprinkling it to kind of help solidify it a little bit more. But overall, yeah. And the crumbs on top, it's like, it has like a nice little caramel to it because of the brown sugar. But it's nice, it's warm, perfect for summer. I would say take a bite with me, but you're probably gonna eat it all before you get a chance. I hope you're able to have fun trying to make your own strawberry rhubarb at home. Just know that even I make mistakes. Thanks for coming to my channel. Like and subscribe, and have a great day and enjoy your summer.